Welcome to ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy. Let's talk about Thor and Wonder Woman, two very similar movies, but I think there's one scene that shows why one is this.
He slides! He is safe!
And the other is this.
Missed it by that much.
Because here's the thing, I really like both these movies. Thor is underrated and one of the best Marvel origin movies, and I like Wonder Woman so much that I made a video praising it over First Avenger for taking time to properly introduce Wonder Woman instead of shuffling her through 3 montages. So when I say there's one scene that sets these movies apart, I mean there's literally just one scene, one vital scene that Thor nails with emotional resonance, but where Wonder Woman falls short. But first, let's talk about their many similarities.
Hold on to your butts.
Each movie is about the child of a god from ancient myth who rules over their particular realm. We begin by seeing their childhoods, and there are flashbacks to ancient stories that will affect the movie that we're currently watching. Each hero has a magic weapon crafted by their people, and they each use lightning as a weapon in the final battle. The heroes are out of costume for much of the movie and hiding among the people of Earth. When they do reveal themselves to the humans, it's a big, epic moment where the hero risks their lives for human beings.
Taking their lives will gain you nothing.
What are we waiting
We
for?
cannot leave without helping them. These people are dying.
The heroes are from an ancient, advanced warrior culture hidden away from mortal men. The movie's inciting incident is when this peaceful life is broken by an invading army.
Frost giants.
The Germans, come on, we need to get out of here.
Each hero reacts strongly to this invasion by venturing to the realm where the invaders came from. Afterwards, they are cut off from their homes and their mentor figures. While among the humans, they befriend a non-powered love interest who is an expert in their field. Each hero also has a colorful supporting cast who serve as comic relief.
They even took my iPod. Just downloaded like 30 songs onto there.
Gotta put the sword down, Diana, please.
It doesn't go with the outfit.
And also help them in battle. There are also hijinks aplenty where the hero adjusts to the world of humans.
Another!
The heroes reach a new understanding of humanity. Diana loses her innocence, and Thor regains his. The god villain of the movie is hiding in plain sight. Remember, it's not revealed that Loki is a villain until halfway through the film. The bad guys are the brother of the hero, and they project illusions of themselves and are conspiring to start a war. And they also influence mortals while being invisible and standing near them.
Well, I guess that's worth a look.
Well, I guess that's worth a look.
Leading up to the movie's climax, there's a sequence where a small town is devastated by the villain's henchmen, Dr. Poison and the Destroyer. This destruction motivates the hero going into the final battle. There's also a twist before the final battle begins. Ludendorff wasn't Ares, and Loki didn't want to kill Odin.
And your death came by the son of Odin.
The final battle ends with the heroes separated from their love interest after making a brave sacrifice. Later, there's a celebration that the hero doesn't participate in. Instead, they mourn what they've lost and reflect on the future during their little wrap-up monologue.
I have much to learn. I know that now.
And now I know that only love can truly save the world.
So, what is the one scene that separates these films? That's the final climactic battle. Thor's is a fitting conclusion to the character-driven story we've just witnessed, and Wonder Woman's climax is more like this. To research this video, I wanted to understand the context of Wonder Woman, so I watched the documentary Apocalypse World War I, which colorizes vintage photos and film reels from the era to really make history come alive. And this is just one of thousands of documentaries available on CuriosityStream, the sponsor of this video. I watch a lot of video essays, and I see CuriosityStream advertised all of the time, so I finally checked it out. Now I'm hooked. And get this, if you use the code ScreenCrush, then it only costs $14.99 per year. This streaming service is filled with thousands of short and long-form documentaries on a variety of topics. I'm a big fan of science fiction, especially speculative fiction. So I've watched videos on what our Mars colony is going to look like, how humans will return to the moon, and the future of AI. They make it easy to navigate with different collections and staff picks, a lot like looking for movies in a video store. The service also works on any device, anywhere, all the time. So again, if you want to check out CuriosityStream, and you really should, it's great, then use the code ScreenCrush to get it for just $14.99 a year, or click the link down in the description. Yes! First, let's take a closer look at the climax of Thor. Now, at this point in the movie, Thor just tried to sacrifice his life, and he's become worthy to wield the hammer once again. Jane kiss. And then he's back to Asgard, where acting King Loki has invited in the Frost Giants to kill Odin. This would, of course, make Loki king, and that's what he wants more than anything.
Oh, I just can't wait to be king.
And remember, Loki just found out that he is actually a frost giant, so this all looks like he's leading a frost giant coup against his adopted father. Odin lies helpless in the Odin sleep, he's about to die, and then Loki pulls a reverse Oedipus and saves his dad's life. This is actually a major character moment for the villain. Loki wasn't just a mustache-twirling Iago bent on stealing the throne, he was an overlooked child, pining for his father's attention. Loki's actual master plan is to use the Bifrost to destroy Jotunheim. He's ready to commit genocide against his own race just to earn the approval of Anthony Hopkins. This makes his arc mirror Thor's. Thor began the movie desiring the throne, but then Odin forces him to prove that he's worthy to rule, while Loki rejects the throne to prove to Odin that he is worthy of his love. So Loki calls him out, being like, "Aw, look at Thor, he loves the frost giants. Did you just try to kill them because they ruined your Sweet 16 or whatever?" And then Thor responds with,
I changed.
This is important because A, it shows Thor's new growth after his time washing dishes on Earth, and B, it sets the stakes for the final battle. Thor is now facing a more extreme version of his own views from earlier in the film. So in many ways, he's doing combat with the worst version of himself. And then, just to get the fight started, Loki makes it personal.
When we're finished here, I'll pay her a visit myself.
So I'm going to name a few reasons for why this fight works, and remember them for when we talk about Wonder Woman. 1. We've already seen these characters fight, so we have a good idea of their strengths and skill sets. Thor is more powerful and uses brute force,
Next.
while Loki relies on trickery. But Loki doesn't actually have to win this fight. He just has to run out the clock, because, number 2, the battle has a ticking clock. If Thor can't stop the Bifrost, it will kill billions of ice people. 3. There's a confined fight space. This is really fight choreography 101. Why is this fight more memorable than this fight? Because the fighting is contained. We understand the stakes. There's two guys duking it out, wanting to get from here to there. When fights feature all-powerful godlike characters, it's hard for us to feel the punches, because we know this is a computer-generated image, as opposed to two human beings trying to stop each other, throwing punches while on the ground. Now this applies to Thor. Instead of Thor throwing Loki into Asgardian buildings like, I don't know, think how this fight could have been staged. Thor could have been throwing Loki into buildings, and Loki could have used the power of the Cask of Winters. It could have been an almighty god battle in the sky, but instead, the fight stays grounded and simple. The Bifrost is also a fitting place thematically for this fight. All of the action literally moves through this space. Thor was exiled for misusing the Bifrost, and now Loki is misusing it for his own personal glory. And 4, most importantly, this fight has personal stakes.
I will not fight you, brother!
Thor and Loki are brothers. Loki has a personal, relatable reason for fighting. He wants his dad to love him. I mean, don't we all? And we can all relate to that, especially your mom. And Thor has split goals. He's learned humility and he wants to save lives, but he also desires a life with Natalie Portman and wants to return to Earth. The fight ends when Thor puts his hammer on top of Loki, which is funny, a little ingenious, and probably a prank he pulled on him before. And then Thor makes an unselfish decision, proving he's finally changed from his earlier dude bro past. He decides to leave Jane behind to save billions of lives. Although, it's a little messed up that he has to think about it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds. I mean, come on, dude, you just met this woman. But Thor does the right thing, severs the Bifrost, and foils Loki's plans. They're hurled through the air, and Odin appears to save their lives. Now think about this placement. Odin grabs onto Thor, while Thor holds onto Loki. Even now, Thor is coming between Loki and his father. And then Tom Hiddleston and Anthony Hopkins go to work for a living.
I could have done it! For you!
No, Loki.
Loki's origin story is complete. He can't deceive his way into earning his father's love. He can never be Thor. Instead, he chooses to exile himself, just as Thor was exiled at the beginning of the movie. It's an ending that's exciting, funny, and sad. It's a perfect end to the movie. And then later, Thor and Odin talk on a roof like it's Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
You can call me Pops or Dada, and I can call you Skipper.
Now let's talk about Wonder Woman, which I have to admit has a perfect ending. All through the film, Diana has been on a quest to kill Ares. She's appalled at the violence of man's world because she can only see the good in everyone. Like Doug. Say hi, Doug.
Hello, person.
She is convinced that if she can just stop Ares from meddling, then she can end this war. And the audience has seen Ares meddling firsthand. Disguised as the German General Ludendorff, who's actually a real guy, he influences Dr. Poison to create horrific chemical weapons. And we know this guy is Ares because we've seen him inhaling this magic gas to make himself more powerful. In the scene leading up to the final battle, Diana encounters cruelty that she's never seen when the Germans gas a village filled with civilians. It's heartbreaking. Now Diana has to stop Ares before he can mislead humanity into destroying itself. Consider the stakes raised. The final fight with Ares takes place at the airfield where Germans, acting on the orders of Ares, are about to gas whole swaths of Europe. Diana defeats the god of war, and afterwards, nothing changes.
Why are they still fighting?
That's because maybe it's them. Maybe people aren't always good.
The evil didn't come from Ares, it was inside men all along.
What?
Diana realizes that humanity isn't worth saving. Steve pleads with her to help him stop the planes, but she refuses.
Honestly, I need you to come with
No,
me.
after everything I saw, it can't be, it cannot be.
Now we understand why Diana was in hiding during Batman vs. Superman, why she didn't interfere in World War II, because humans would just always destroy themselves. The Germans are even wearing these unhuman masks to show how Diana now sees them, as evil monsters. It's a masterful ending, bleak as hell, and resonates with fans of Batman vs. Superman.
Wait a moment, person. That is not how Wonder Woman ends.
It's not?
No. There was a different Ares, and they have a big dumb CGI fight. Everything is dark. It was awful.
Oh, that's right. Thanks, Doug. Thank you for reminding me of that. Wonder Woman had a perfect ending, but then Warner Brothers made her tack on this. Don't believe me? Listen to her carefully worded side of the story.
The original end of the first movie was also smaller, but the studio made me change it at the last minute. And so that's always been a little bit of a bummer that that's the one thing people talk about, because I agreed and I told the studio we didn't have time to do it, but it was what it was, and I ended up loving it, but that was not the original ending of the movie.
So let's look at the ending we got. After she sends Steve Trevor off to die, the real Ares appears. It's the leader of the English military. Plot twist. They have a chat about human beings and their history. He monologues.
And is not the god killer. You are. They start these wars on their own.
The gist is that the god killer sword is useless and that Diana has been the real god killer all along.
What?
And then he says,
I don't want to fight you. But if I must.
And then we get a fun, wacky CGI fight. Okay, now let's address those attributes that I mentioned in Thor and see how they match up to this final fight. One, we have not seen these characters fight before, only Diana. And because Ares is a god, we just assume that he can do anything. And the fight devolves into two blurry cartoons bashing into each other. This kind of spectacle has been popular since Agent Smith fought Neo in Matrix Revolutions, and I hate it. Fights between all-powerful beings flying around are boring because there are no stakes. No way to understand if one invincible god is hurting the other one. Or, since they're flying around, there's also no sense of spatial awareness. The movie Shazam understands this and deliberately grounds the hero and villain during their final fight. Wonder Woman's final battle is just ugly. It's a dark fight with the big gray villain, the kind of rush CGI we saw back in the aughts, not in 2017. Now, it's cool that Ares wears just a business suit. It's classy, you know? A guy in a suit looks like a more badass villain, and it's actually something we haven't seen much before. But, oh no, wait, there he goes, making blurry CGI armor for himself, so now Diana's just fighting a cartoon with a person head. From here on out, the fight no longer feels real. It's like we're watching this.
World, they fight, they bite, they kick some serious fear.
Okay, point number 2. The Thor battle had a ticking clock. Now, this is also technically true in Wonder Woman, but time isn't running out for Diana to fight Ares. Steve Trevor is trying to detonate the gas to prevent war from perpetuating. But Diana and Ares could be duking this out for 1,000 years and it wouldn't matter. Number 3, location. The battle takes place on a generic airfield, and we never understand where these characters are in relation to one another, the gas plane, or even Wonder Woman's friends. Eventually, we do get this shot showing that the CGI spectacle is far from the human actors. In other words, the big CGI fight they added in reshoots is far away from the actors that they filmed during principal photography. Now, compared to a compact setting like the Bifrost, this location is terrible. It's just a wide open space where two cartoons can bash each other around. This could have at least taken place on the same runway where Steve was trying to take off, but the movie is very deliberate, showing us that this is far away and removed from the real action, which is Steve's sacrifice. Like this line,
"Look at this world."
Dude, it's a burning parking lot that you set on fire. This would have meant something if the fight was in, say, that town that was just gassed. So the setting makes it feel like the fight was tacked on and poorly planned. There's no emotional resonance or connection to the environment, or even a location that we saw earlier in the movie. This is also an area where bad CGI tanks this fight. The number one most important thing to get right in a virtual scene is the lighting. If everything else is rendered perfectly, but the lighting doesn't match, it won't feel real. Like in this scene, Ares steps from a giant inferno. He leaps out of shot to fight Diana, and then emerges into Diana's frame where the lighting is still cool night blue. I'm guessing this is because Gal Gadot was filmed with one kind of light. Then they decided to add in the big burning CGI fight, so they said, oh, okay, so we'll just have him leap out of frame and then fight her somewhere else. And when I say they, I mean the studio or the producers. It just feels like someone else had a loud creative influence in this finale. Who could that have been? So to understand this scene better, I turned to my old friend Noah Sterling. Now, he's best known for his work with Marvel, directing their animated digital series, and he directs animated music videos for stars like Doja Cat, Wiz Khalifa, and the White Stripes. He's an expert in animation and visual effects.
The design of the character itself is just kind of generic baddie in a Dark Souls video game. But if you look at his comic book counterpart, it's black and blue and has a lot more contrast and interesting visual elements that might not necessarily translate as well into live action, but they definitely could have taken more cues from the comics on what made that character iconic and impressive and bring that into the movie depiction. Wouldn't it have been so much better and so much cooler if Ares' outfit had some sort of lightning illumination or lava glow to it so that he himself emitted light instead of just being this dark gray black blob? Okay, and again, it's just look how dark and muddy this is. Gray, gray, gray. We have a villain who's black and gray over a background that's black and gray, and Wonder Woman whose entire outfit is desaturated. And so the only points of light we're getting are from the lasso, and even the lasso, which is so super, super bright, is barely illuminating anything. And I just want to clarify, bad VFX is almost never the fault of the VFX artists. It's usually always the fault of the studio who is demanding all these shots get done with a specific deadline in mind and a specific budget in mind, irregardless of what's gonna be best for the VFX artist to make the best looking shots. A lot of the times you have a mandate from a studio that asks for specific changes but doesn't give the time or budget needed to make it look its best. And so what you end up with is sort of a tacked on scene where filmmakers and VFX artists are put between a rock and a hard place, and they have to figure out the most economical way to complete a scene. And a lot of the times that's oh, well, I guess we'll make it really dark so that we don't need to show a lot of detail, and we'll put a lot of fire around so that we have directional lighting, but not, too directional that we can't see our characters. So we'll put these artificial fill lights that illuminate the characters so that we can see them, but also make the scene feel weirdly artificial. And we'll set it in an empty airfield where we only have so many objects that the characters can interact with so that we can be really careful about, what they're going to crash into to save on time and budget.
All right, finally, somebody said it.
And finally, number 4, there are no personal stakes. Because they opted for a surprise villain, there's not a personal connection. The surprise villain could have been a member of Diana's group, someone she formed a connection with, but no. Ares does have a flashback monologue where he talks about being rejected by Zeus the way Loki was neglected by Odin, but do we care? We never hear Zeus speak. He's basically a moving mural. Unlike Loki, Ares isn't relatable, he's just another blurry CGI bad guy. The battle's personal stakes actually stem from Steve's sacrifice. Ares is asking Diana to join him. We know that she won't, but whatever, this is what generic bad guys do. After Steve's plane explodes, Diana regains her faith in humanity and doesn't kill Dr. Poison in cold blood. The hero learning to have faith in humankind is a good ending, usually. But here, it's Diana, hey, where were you during the Holocaust, or the Soviet purges, or the proliferation of nuclear weapons? This ending doesn't fit within the wider story the DCEU is telling. Diana isn't redeemed here, she's redeemed in about 100 years when she joins the fight against Doomsday. The thing is, the fight with Ares is 100% inconsequential. If the point was for Diana to be inspired by Steve's sacrifice, then that would have happened no matter what the outcome with the Ares battle. Ares is gone, World War I is over, but I happen to know there's a World War II on the way, so this doesn't matter.
I guess that's the way the whole darn human comedy keeps perpetuating itself.
Her final lesson is that there is good and bad inside everyone, and people have to choose. So she allows history's greatest monster to rise to power.
Das war ein Befehl! Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl!
I guess the real Wonder Woman was the friends we made along the way. But that's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.